Welcome back to Cottage Designs by Erin, where today I'm going to be showing you how to make baby bonnets using Simplicity pattern 3840. Now Simplicity has more than one pattern. They also have this one. Both are very well written and will turn out with success. If you notice the Barbie panel behind me, I have a video that I just made reviewing the Barbie fabric line by Riley Blake. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples of the precious little bonnets that I made. I have a granddaughter, Grace Josephine, who's going to be a year old in May, and we dress her like a little precious baby doll, and she always has matching bonnets for her outfits. So this is the first one I made, and it is a blue eyelet. It has the little headpiece in the back where you can tie it to adjust it bigger or smaller. She has a 18-inch head, which is the medium size bonnet. It is lined. Got our cute little eyelet, and then I put a little bow at the edge of each piece. Okay, we have a white eyelet, pin tucks, eyelet trim, just the back, and to hide my stitching, I hot glue a little rosette on the edge of each bonnet. Okay, then my favorite, pink, of course. You know how much I love pink. Someone gave me a scrap of an old tablecloth, and this bonnet was made using that tablecloth, and it's precious. It's a little bit thicker, has the pin tucks, adjustable back, and I lined it with that 1940s gingham that I still have left from the kitty cat pillow on how to upcycle old linens part 2. This is the fabric that pillow was made out of. Okay, so these go together very quickly, and I'm going to be showing you now how to make them. I'm moving the camera to my hands. Let me get everything here. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is cut the actual fabric piece out. It is not cut on the fold, so that gives you a little extra room. For those of you that don't want to buy the pattern and just want to make your own pattern, the square is 8.5 by 15.5. 8.5 by 15.5. All right, now let me take my pins out for just a moment. So you're only going to have 2 pieces. This is the crown, and then you're going to have the lining piece. And the lining piece can be the same as the other piece if you want it to be. It's just you're going to cut some off, because once you put the pin tucks in, it's going to draw the fabric up. Okay, so let me cut this, or cut out rather. Let me take the pins out. Let's measure the lining piece. It is 7 by, we'll get it on there, 7 by 15. Okay, so there's a bald spot at the top of this fabric where you do not have the little eyelets. I put my casing for the back of the bonnet there. Okay. Now, this calls for pin tucks. I use the little eyelet holes as the guideline for the pin tucks. And pin tucks are not difficult. All you're going to do is bring your fabric up, and you'll see it underneath. It's about 1/4 of an inch wide. And you're going to pin that carefully in place. In addition to your fabric, you're going to need scissors, pins, and you're going to need 2 types of ribbon. I used a Grosgain 1/4 inch wide ribbon for the back And then you're going to need ribbon for up around the baby's face, which is a little bit wider. Okay, let me grab my iron. I finally have a little ironing board now. So you're going to iron these little pin tucks in place. Sometimes I starch them also just to give the bonnet more body. And these are so small. The fabric piece is so small. You can make it out of scraps. You can make them out of anything. My daughter sent me pictures of Grace's outfits that she wanted bonnets made for, and I just went by that. These also make nice baby bonnets for dolls, for doll collectors. Okay, so we have one row finished. Now we're going to fold up the second row. And it really doesn't matter where you put them as long as they're sort of centered, because you don't want it to run into the back of the casing, where the casing is going to go. Can go a little closer to this, to the front edge. It can be in the middle. You just don't want it too close to the back casing. Okay, so there we have our little pin tucks in place. Now we're going to sew them down. When you sew these, you're going to sew right down the middle so you can catch most of it, okay, in the actual stitching line. So I'm going to bring my sewing machine over now. I'm already all threaded up. So I'm going to run this piece of fabric using my presser foot. I'm going to line my presser foot up with the edge of the pin tuck, and I'm just going to sew straight down. Make sure I'm on a straight stitch. Okay, so that's our first row of stitching. Now we're going to do the same thing in the second row. Just sew a straight line down the pin tuck. What's happening here with my thread? There's nothing cuter than seeing a little baby in a bonnet with their great big eyes peeking out at you. It's just precious. And they're only babies for a very short amount of time, so enjoy it while you can. Okay, so now both pin tucks are sewn in place. Now we are going to take our lining piece. Let me give that a little bit of a press. I must not have pressed the lining piece. I've got to buy one of those pressing mats. I don't like this ironing board. It's too small. It might be good for little teeny tiny dog clothes, but it feels like I'm trying to operate off of a postage stamp. I need one of those bigger wool pressing boards. Okay, so now our lining piece is going to lay on top of this. Remember the bald spot where there's no eyelet goes in the back. Now we need our eyelet. I buy eyelet in great big huge, I don't remember how many yards is on here, maybe 100 or 120 or something, because since I make so many dog clothes, this is how I buy my eyelet on eBay. It's becoming harder to find. The eyelet is going to be laid down face up, butted up next to the edge of the bonnet, and we're going to sew it in place. And this is 1 inch wide eyelet. All right, now I'm going to pin that, and I'm going to pin it on the scalloped edge because you don't want to get your pins caught in the machine. Okay, let me plug this iron in over here. I only have one multi-cord outlet, and so sometimes I run out of space here. All right, now let's put the lining right on top of the first piece. And if you have any extra, you can cut it off. It's not that serious. Now, you can put your ribbon on here and get it caught in between the layers. I've tried that twice, and both times I screwed it up. So I sew my ribbon on last, and I'll show you how I do that. All right, now we are going to sew from the right edge all the way around to the left edge, leaving the back open for turning. Just a 1/4 inch seam will work. When you get to your eyelet, you want to sew it right before the bump of the bias tape that's on the eyelet, that little ridge. You're going to sew right before that ridge to make sure you get everything caught in place. And you can see it through the fabric. You also feel it. Okay, we are going to take my Guggenheim scissors and we're going to cut this hard angle off on the edge. Now we are going to flip the bonnet inside out. Make sure that we have everything caught. Good morning, train. Okay, now we're making progress. So here's our little main piece. We've got our Pentex and we have our little face framing eyelet. I'm going to cut down this back edge so that it's even. All right, next we're going to make the casing for the back ribbon that draws up around the baby's head. To do that, we're going to iron a little casing in. So I'm going to fold it once and press. I'd say that's probably about a 1/2 inch. And then you're going to fold it again and press. I'm going to pin it in place, keeping my pins free of the sewing area. Now, when we sew this, we are going to see the free edge right here. You're going to sew as close to that edge as possible, because if you come in too far, you will not be able to get the ribbon in the casing. So you're going to sew as close as you possibly can to the free open edge. We're going to do that now. And I'm using my little guide that's on my presser fit. There's a little line right here. I'm using that to help me stay over as far as I can. You need to back stitch too, because you do not want your casing to come open and then it will fray out and rip. Okay, so we have that completed. Okay, now take our pins out. And you see how close I got that to the edge? I mean, it is close. Okay, so now we have our little, it's almost done. This is how fast it goes. We are going to take the grosgrain ribbon and we are going to cut that. I've been using the whole length of this ruler, so which this ruler is 18 inches. Okay, so 18 inches of grosgrain ribbon. Let me get a big safety pin. Look at this awesome safety pin jar. It's a 1950s refrigerator jar. I love this thing. I've dropped it I don't know how many times and it never did break. It's so thick. It's such huge, thick glass. Okay, now you're going to get your pin and stick it through the end of your ribbon, and we're going to run that through the casing. You can use a small, I might have to use a smaller pin, but I used a big pin the other day and it worked, so we'll see. Having 18 inches of ribbon gives you a lot of space. And then if it's too big, you can cut it down. That's fine. Okay, now here's our pin. We're pulling it all through. So now I'm going to take the pin out. I made a huge hole in the ribbon, so I'm going to cut that off. And now I'm going to join my ends of ribbon. And we're going to scrunch this up. You want to draw it pretty tight. And then you're going to tie it. And then this will adjust to the baby's head in the back. Now I'm going to go around and spread my gathers out evenly. Look how cute this is. Look, there's the back of it. All right. Okay, now for the face framing ribbon, I have been cutting the ribbon 18 inches long, and I'm using a double-faced satin. And now this might be too long, but I haven't actually got to try these on Grace yet. So, like I said, if they're too long, you can always cut the ribbon back. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Just you make sure you use some really sharp scissors. Oh, that was the end of my ribbon roll. I'm going to cut one of these down a little bit because I'm out of ribbon. That was the very end of the roll. Okay. Now you're going to, you could have cut your ribbon inside. I didn't, because last time I tried that, I made a mess of it. So I'm just going to sew mine on the inside edge of the bonnet right here, okay? And I fold it over and sew it so that way then it won't fray, and it gives it more to adhere to. So we're going to sew that at an angle, and I sew it more than once. I sew it going across at an angle, and then I also back stitch over it so it's good and strong, because last thing you want is to go tie this on the baby and it to rip off. Okay, so I sewed all the way across, and then I back stitched over it. Okay, and then that gives us a little slant line there. So here's one tie. Let me do the other tie. So you're going to fold it over and sew across the edge. And then cut off all your little strings. So now, just to be decorative and to hide the stitching on the edge, got my little slant line there. I have this container of rosettes. And I just glue one on the edge. Let's see. That actually will work. So I'm going to I've got my hot glue handy. Just put a little dab on there and glue this sweet little Ofray bow with a pearl in it on the edge. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. Look at how sweet that is. Okay, so now let me move some things out of my way here. Okay. So if you notice, in just a very short time, 19 minutes, we were able to make this precious little baby bonnet. These are selling for $25 each on Etsy. Not in my shop, but I did my research to see what they're selling for in other people's shops. So people are willing to pay quite a bit of money for these because you can't find them anymore. Back in the 90s, when my daughter was a baby, you could buy precious little baby bonnets at Walmart, and now they're a thing of the past. So look, we've got our pin tucks, we have our face framing eyelet, we have our precious little gather in the back, we've got our little detail on the sides, and is that just not adorable? It's adorable. And then on the, once you get it the length you want it on the bottom, you can fold your ribbon in and also sew that shut so that it will not fray when you want to wash it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed my video. Again, we did View B, which is the corner baby, right here, on Simplicity 3840. I cut a size medium. Simplicity also has this pattern, which I have not tried yet, but it's going to be made the same way. My daughter would like to have that gingham bonnet, so that's a cute variation also. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. Thank you.